How's it going, everybody out there in Teryx land? We're custom building this Teryx for this individual and installing our Hester Edition exclusive shock package with a Super ATV high clearance arms. No, they do not come in red. These are custom. We redid all these in red to match this machine. So that's besides the point. What I want to show today is we've had a few questions on just installing it and things to check. So this is things that you want to check if running the Super ATV high clearance arched arms with our Hester Edition Elka shocks. Number one, you cannot run any type of a lift kit. As you can tell, there's no bracket here, no bracket here, no ifs, ands, or buts. Cannot run a lift kit. Reason why is the shock is much longer than the stock shock. So here's the stock shock. I mean, it's hard to tell from that perspective, but it is a good deal longer. Since it's longer, this takes up the length of a bracket, essentially. So, number one, no, you cannot run a lift kit. I keep telling people, but I just want to make sure I drive that home. If you tried running it with a lift kit, well, I want to put my 2-inch lift kit on here so I can just get more ground clearance. Good luck breaking axles. That's all on you. Your ride's going to suffer. It's not going to ride as good. You're going to push it beyond its limits. You're going to break its axles. Right now, we maximize the potential. This is as far as a Teryx can go. Another thing here is we've had some issues. Very, very rare. Out of probably, God, over 100 sets of these shocks, I've heard about 5 or 6 different people. It could be a little bit more. I don't know. These are just people that have contacted me. But about 5 or 6 people that this clamp right here is rubbing the A-arm. Now you can see on ours, full extension, clear as day, daylight all the way through it, no questions asked. Let me get in another area here. So you can clearly see that that sucker is not even close to touching that. What we do is, and this is what I tell people, this is the little bulb part, and you can see that we have flattened this out. So that right there will free up dang near, well, I'd say about 1/8 of an inch, because this sucker bulbs out pretty good. So I would just take a flat rod or take a couple of hammers, put one hammer on there, and then smack it with another hammer and just smack that flat. These are stock OEM axles, aftermarket axles. Some of them do have a thinner clamp and might clear just fine. Issues vary. Like right now, I mean, we have no issues on the axle, and the spacer is on the outside of it. It's pretty rare that you have to put this spacer on the inside. If you put the spacer on the inside, it pushes this axle over, which will push that further over. So you could force the issue by putting the spacer on the inside here. So something to consider there. A little tiny gap here is not that big of a deal, but you do want to try to get that clear. And it's really, these are just things you want to check. So you want to just make sure that once it's up on there, let me get my hammer here, and you just want to rotate this, just like this. And you can see I am not rubbing at all at full extension. So that's all you want to do is just verify that you have no rub at full extension on that clamp. And that's with Super ATV arms. Now, it seems like the issue we've had is a possibility that this arm might be mis-welded ever so slightly. So in mass production, things like this can happen. You get 1,000 of these suckers, and you might get a handful that this weld might be pushed up a little bit. Instead of being welded here, it might be welded up here. So if that's the case, if yours hits, you could easily just kind of dent this in with a hammer. Just kind of dent that in a little bit. just to get your clearance so that way your clamps do not hit and nothing rubs and everything like that. And of course, this is at full extension. Once the wheel comes up under driving height, you'll never be in that situation. This is you coming off of big bumps or jumps or something, and the suspension completely extending out like that. Limit straps. The shocks are extremely high quality, and we basically like to say the limit straps, limit straps are not required because these shocks are built high end. They're specific lengths. They are designed to fit perfect and maximize the machine. So you do not have to run limit straps to squeeze it and keep it in place. Otherwise you will damage stuff. It's all designed just like your Fox shocks. Do not have to have limit straps for the majority of builds. These are the same way. This is as high, if not higher quality than your factory stock Fox shocks. So now, where we recommend limit straps. We do recommend limit straps if you are running high performance situations. If you're going to be in the desert, hammering this thing hard through whoops, jumping it to where this wheel is coming off the ground off of a jump and slamming down at higher rates of speed than you would normally be doing on an average trail rig, what a Teryx is designed for, then we do recommend a limit strap as a what-if device. For high performance racing situations, it's what if something happens. It basically prevents anything from happening under those type of situations. Launching it on jumps and just hammering the sucker to where you're coming out of dips and everything and coming off the ground and landing. That's some extra stress that you can be put into the shock. We would recommend putting a limit strap in that situation, and we can help set you up with the limit straps and the mounting kits and everything like that for the straps. Second scenario that we recommend, big portals and big tires. So you figure big portals and big tires, that's a lot of weight pulling down on that. And it's just like, think of this shock like your shoulder socket. Yeah, your arm can carry a lot of weight, but what happens whenever it carries too much? You can dislocate your shoulder, right? You can pop your bone out of the socket. The same thing can happen to a shock under extremely heavy loads. I mean, you put a 6-inch or 8-inch portal over here and some 40 or 52-inch tires, some big massive tires. That is a tremendous amount of weight pulling on this thing. We would highly recommend, when running portals and 32 or larger, I would recommend doing the limit straps, and we can get you all set up with that. So I hope that covers for the most part. Now, lastly, these are stage 3, so I have no rebound control on the bottom, but I wanted to show this is something to look for on all of our shocks with rebound control. So basically, stage 2s, stage 4s, and stage 5s. These are the front arms. You could have an issue to where right here it might rub. And once again, seems to be more of a manufacturing type deal. I've had numerous people, no issues, and then I've had a handful say, oh, I had to trim this across here like a 1/16 of an inch. And that's just because the stage 2s, 4s, and 5s with the rebound control, this lower part is thicker. It is bigger and thicker. So that's where that can come into play as far as that goes. So I hope this explains for the most part on installation of the Teryx shocks. The front are pretty much bolt-on. There's no trimming on the front end here. Unless, like I said, running Super ATV arms, you may have to do a little bit of trimming on the inside where I just showed you. But as far as there's nothing to do up here, just bolt-on on the front. The rear is just those few little things to look for. And it's just because of the design of the arm. They have, Super ATV have really beefed up these quite a bit over the years. Like you can see all these extra gusseting. This pipe is much thicker. This used to be like a 1-inch pipe, and it's now 1.25 inches. It is a thicker diameter, and you can see they regusseted all these with more reinforcements on this rear arm, which they did have a couple years ago, a few of these where the arm was breaking about right here, about parallel with the bolt. So they were failing right around in here somewhere. So the arms are much beefier now as far as that goes. So wanted to kind of show that to you, just so you can get an idea on, like I said, you know, where to trim, where to check. These are just things that you want to check to be sure everything is clearing, everything is working good. So that way you do not have any issues. It's going to make the machine as durable as possible by doing that. Now you can see this one we have not hammered down. You can see how much bulbous that thing is from the factory. You just hammer that down, just like I showed you on the other side. So there you go. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Make sure you click like, subscribe. I just wanted to give a quick idea. Also, if you're going to be running 30-inch tires on a Teryx 4-seater, 2-seaters have a little bit more room, but 4-seaters, you're going to want to lift the bed some. You can do that pretty easy. Now this is what we do every time we put a machine together. These spacers are actually on the inside of the frame under normally. We flip them and put them underneath here. So that way 28's clear, no questions asked. You can fit 28's using all the factory parts on that, but you're gonna take these out and do a 1-inch spacer, raise the bed, this frame right here, this cradle, this is your chassis right here, this is your bed cradle. You just put a spacer right in between there with a longer bolt, 4 spacers, or a 1x1 square tube, 4 longer bolts, bolt everything back up. It's just a little bit of elbow grease, very cheap in parts. You can get them at any hardware store, anything like that. But if you're going to run 30s with our shocks, you need to do a 1-inch bed lift, because keep in mind, vast improvement in wheel travel, and that sucker will hit. This one here is going to have the 30s, and we will be doing the bed lift on here. That's why we don't have this bumper completely installed, because once we do the spacers here, we're going to do a spacer here for the bumper, so that way everything lines up and matches correctly. But wanted to show that on there just so you can get an idea, you know, like I said, where to trim. You can just see just that little tiny notch right there on both sides of the rear, nothing on the front, nothing you need to do down here. Just double check to make sure that clamp, once it's fully drooped and the shock's installed, just rotate the axle, and just watch down there and make sure that it clears all the way through. If not, some minor modifications. I mean, that's welcome to the world of customization. There are modifications that may be required. The only way that it could be direct bolt on is if it was factory design. And we don't want factory design now, do we? We want badass design. So this one we're going to have, this is a really tricked out one. It's about a $31,000 Teryx in its entire build. Lots and lots of stuff to do. We'll have a video on this one coming whenever it's done. So thank you all for watching. Please be sure to click that subscribe button. Give us a like down below. Leave us any comments if you have any questions. We do our absolute best to answer any questions that we possibly can. If you want a set of shocks, we have 5 stages available. Please be sure to go to our channel here and look at the 5-stage breakdown. It explains all 5 stages. We're doing our absolute best we can to keep these in stock and flowing, because they do have about a 10 to 11 week build period on the shocks, but we're trying to keep them in stock for immediate shipping. So we have gone through a lot, and I want to thank everybody. It has been so overwhelming response with our Hester Edition exclusive shocks. You cannot buy these from Elka. You go to their site, if you see a stage 3, you're getting the regular stage 3 with that setup, you know, as far as lengths and stuff. To get ours exclusive 2-stage valving, our exclusive lengths and spring rates that we have in here, you have to get from us. And ours are better priced than Elka. So, you know, we do discounts and all that stuff and free shipping. So please give us a call. We're open Tuesday through Saturday at 575-445-3558. Give us a like on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe here. Click that notification bell. Trying to do the best we can. I mean, it's well past closing. I mean, it's almost 8 o'clock at night. We close at 5. And, I mean, Chris is here working on this. I mean, it's just so overwhelming. We can't thank you all enough. It has been a true blessing to serve you all. And thank you all. God bless and good night.